The Derrick White trade just aged like fine wine, and the Spurs are left holding the cork what once looked like a fair exchange has now tilted into a full-blown heist by Brad Stevens and the Boston Celtics, with Blake Wesley being quietly shipped off to the Washington Wizards. A forgotten footnote in the Derrick White trade just became the final nail in the coffin for San Antonio. Wesley, a player drafted using Boston's 2022 first-round pick, never found his rhythm in 3 underwhelming seasons with the Spurs. Now, he's out the door, and with him goes the last trace of tangible return from a deal that already feels like grand larceny. Let's break it down. The Celtics acquired Derrick White in 2021 in exchange for Josh Richardson, Romeo Langford, a 2022 first-round pick which became Wesley, and a top 1 protected 2028 first today. Richardson was flipped shortly after arriving. Langford vanished from the league after barely registering on the radar, and now Wesley, the theoretical upside pick, is gone too without ever showing signs of being a reliable NBA rotation piece. What's left for San Antonio? A draft pick so heavily protected it might never convey, and even if it does, it's likely to amount to a second-rounder in a draft 4 years from now. Meanwhile, in Boston, White didn't just fit in, he evolved. He became the heart of the Celtics' backcourt, a two-way monster who helped power a 2024 title run. His impact has transcended stats, game-saving blocks, defensive versatility, clutch shooting, and leadership. He went from a Spurs afterthought to an all-defensive team staple and one of the most trusted role players in the NBA. This trade is no longer about just who won. It's about how badly one side lost. San Antonio gave up a player who became championship glue and got back dust-fading prospects, a pick that might never matter, and the regret of misjudging what White could become in a real winning system. Brad Stevens didn't just pull off a good trade, he stole a franchise cornerstone in plain daylight. And now that Blake Wesley's exit closes the chapter for San Antonio, the contrast couldn't be clearer. Boston got a banner. The Spurs got breadcrumbs. This might be the crack Golden State was waiting for. The Boston Celtics have lit a match that could ignite a major shift in the Western Conference. In a shocking development that could reshape the veteran market, Celtics president Brad Stevens has all but confirmed that Al Horford, the defensive anchor, playoff stabilizer, and respected locker room general, is on his way out. His words, unlikely to return. That subtle but seismic phrase sent shockwaves through front offices across the league. One team in particular is listening very, very closely: the Golden State Warriors. The Dubs, paralyzed so far in free agency, are staring down the barrel of a transitional year. They've watched targets disappear, missed out on key role players, and seen the Western arms race escalate. But Stevens' comments just cracked the door open. Horford, a proven two-way floor spacer and defensive communicator, is now officially available, and Golden State has both the positional need and the desperate urgency to act. Let's be clear, this isn't about Al Horford's stat line. It's about intangibles. It's about poise when the game breaks down, rotations that stop bleeding, runs, and veteran leadership in a locker room that's seen fractures over the last 2 years. Kevon Looney is gone. Draymond Green is undersized, temperamental, and aging. Quinton Post is promising, but nowhere near ready for postseason lights. Golden State's center rotation is non-existent, and Horford is now the best possible plug-and-play solution. Meanwhile, Boston is clearly ripping the Band-Aid off. Shedding J.R. Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis already raised eyebrows, signaling that the franchise might be reorienting around youth and cap flexibility rather than doubling down for another immediate run. The fact that even cheap depth pieces are being let go reveals an offseason philosophy shift, one that leaves Horford, a cultural cornerstone, as collateral damage. And while multiple teams once showed interest, the Lakers, Nuggets, Knicks, most have since moved on. Their rosters are filling up, their money's drying out. The Warriors, however, are uniquely positioned. They have the playing time, the structure, and the glaring need to make Horford's final years meaningful. And Horford, he's not a guy who will sign just to collect a paycheck. He wants purpose. He wants a role. He wants legacy. Which leaves just 3 real options on the table. Go back to a Boston team that no longer has space for him. Join the Warriors and bring championship IQ to a fading dynasty desperate for one last run. Walk away from the game for now. He's waiting. The only thing standing in the way, the unresolved Jonathan Kuminga situation. Golden State's young forward is wrapped in RFA uncertainty due to the new CBA, tying up critical cap flexibility. Once that domino falls, the Warriors can strike. And if they do, Don't be surprised if Horford ends his career not where he started, not where he was beloved, but where the lights still burn brightest and the clock is ticking loudest. Golden State might not be rebuilding, but without a move like this, they might be dying. The Boston Celtics might be on the verge of detonating another seismic move this offseason. One so massive, it could erase a $100 million investment before the ink even dries. According to multiple league sources, Boston is actively exploring a blockbuster trade that would ship out a newly acquired player before he even suits up. It's a ruthless, calculated pivot that screams of a franchise chasing not just sustained success, but complete domination. And if that means cutting ties with a 9-figure contract or disrupting locker room chemistry, so be it. But this isn't just about one player. Brad Stevens, the architect behind Boston's recent transformation, has been uncharacteristically cryptic. In recent comments, he hinted at further adjustments to the roster, fueling speculation that the chaos is far from over. This isn't maintenance, it's a controlled demolition in search of a more lethal version of a team that already won it all. Meanwhile, as the front office continues to move pieces like a grandmaster playing blitz chess, a bombshell dropped regarding Finals MVP Jaylen Brown. The lingering injury that plagued him sporadically throughout the season wasn't just nagging, it was structural. Sources confirmed that Brown underwent surgery this offseason, a detail that had been carefully kept under wraps until now. While the team remains optimistic about his recovery timeline, this revelation casts a shadow over Boston's early title defense plans. The Celtics aren't just reshuffling, they're reloading. But with high-stakes surgery, $100 million gambles, and potential locker room casualties, one has to wonder, is Boston preparing to go back to -- or setting the stage for the most dramatic unraveling in recent NBA history? The Celtics might be about to throw away a $100 million asset before he ever wears the jersey. In what's becoming a pattern of head-spinning moves, the Boston Celtics seem poised to make another major shakeup this offseason, blow a crater-sized hole in their already fragile roster. It all started when Brad Stevens greenlit the shocking trade that sent Jrue Holiday to Portland in exchange for Anthony Simons. On paper, it looked like a respectable pivot, unloading Holiday's expensive contract, dodging the second apron, and landing a 25-year-old guard who just averaged nearly 20 points per game. But now, reports suggest Boston never actually intended to keep Simons. According to ESPN's Brian Windhorst, the Celtics are actively shopping Simons before he even gets the chance to introduce himself to the TD Garden faithful. That's not a retooling move, that's a red flag. It raises the question, was Simons just a placeholder in a salary dump scheme all along? Let's be clear, Simons isn't some expendable bench piece. He's one of the league's most explosive young scorers, with a skill set that perfectly fits the modern NBA. He can shoot off the dribble, create his own shot, and heat up in a hurry. He dropped 40 multiple times last season. His production isn't theoretical, it's proven, so why would Boston be so eager to flip him? 2 words: financial panic. With Jason Tatum sidelined for the upcoming season and Kristaps Porzingis already off the books, the Celtics are staring into an abyss offensively. Jaylen Brown can't carry that load alone. And yet, instead of keeping a proven scorer like Simons to plug that gap, the front office is apparently more concerned with penny pinching and chasing a low-cost big man. Let that sink in. The team is considering trading away a 25-year-old offensive weapon on a reasonable contract because they're desperate to fill a hole at center. As of now, Boston's only options at the 5 are Luka Garza and Neemias Queta. That's not depth. That's a disaster waiting to happen. And it gets worse. By dealing Simons, Boston would be left with 0 reliable secondary scorers for an entire season. That's not just poor planning, it's setting up the team to tank by accident. If the Celtics truly move on from Simons, they better land a game-changing big in return. Because if not, the message is clear. Boston isn't reloading for another title run, they're detonating the roster and hoping nobody notices. The only thing more baffling than Boston's offseason strategy is that there might actually be one.